Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidate interviews, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Shel Gross, and I would like to introduce Goodwill Obieze, who is running for state assembly in the 48th district. As we begin, I'd like you to give an opening statement as to your educational, vocational, and civic experience you have which qualifies you for this office and why you are running for state assembly.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank the City of Madison and also the League of Women Voters of Dane County. Again, my name is Goodwill like the store, Goodwill Obieze. And I would first start with I'm a young immigrant running as a Democrat in this race for State Assembly District 48, which includes Sun Prairie and east side of Madison. And one of the things that drove me to run is I am so tired of yelling at my TV for politicians to do what is right. And I'm a renter myself. I have a 3-year-old daughter. I work in a mental health organization here in Dane County. So I believe with all those great experience, I'm also a champion of diversity. I volunteered for several social causes in my community, including homeless shelter, being a champion for workers and advocate for gender and racial equity. And then my own experience as an immigrant or a BIPOC and a human resource leader who is at the forefront of the different policies and equitable practices. This does make me well suited to present the priorities I will be highlighting in this interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any process you believe the Wisconsin legislature should put into place now for redistricting after the next census?
Well, I would first want to thank current Governor Tony Evers and the whole Democrats and for continuing to fight. And I also want to thank the courts as well for doing what is right for our community. First, I would continue to champion a fair maps that represents the people across the board. Definitely not gerrymandering that favors one party or the other, favoring one party or the other without fair maps to equitable. Here, all voters' voices can create biases, and then is deep-rooted inequity within the electoral system. So I will continue to fight for a fair map every 10 years and making sure that we have a fair map across the board. Thank you.
What issues, if any, do you think you could work on effectively in a bipartisan manner in the next session?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that the issues that my community faces are issues that are in the hearts of a lot of voters, regardless if they are Democrat or Republican. And there are a couple of them. Affordable housing. Like I said in my intro, I'm a renter, and I'm sure when you go to rent, landlords do not ask if you have an R in front of your name or a D in front of your name. So, but one of the things they ask is that they require you to make 3 times the rent, which I believe is very inequitable, and it deprives a lot of people in my community from renting. And I'll make sure that we are able to remove that that restriction from our housing market. And I also believe affordable health care. I believe that all of us get sick one point or the other, and we all need funding for our health care and making sure that our health insurance premium are at a very low minimum. And then thirdly, affordable childcare. I have a 3-year-old daughter, like I stated, and it's very expensive each month to put my daughter in daycare. And without a childcare, I won't be able to go to work. So it does affect our economy as well if we don't have an affordable childcare in our community. Thank you.
What role, if any, do you think the legislature should have in addressing conditions in Wisconsin's state prisons?
So I would say first, in terms of Wisconsin State Prison, I believe that we should put a lot of funding in preventing, in prevention, basically. Like I said, I work for a mental health organization in Dane County, and I have seen the forefront of what this priority would do. And then in this case, the lack of funding, what it would do, which is negatively impacts our community. And I will make sure that we prioritize mental health in our community, that we prioritize different preventative measures, making sure that we have funding for schools as well, making sure that youth have something going on when they're out of school, and then putting more funding in our technical colleges across the state as well. There's a saying in my culture in Nigeria that when someone an idle person is a devil's workshop. So when someone is idle, they tend to think a lot of evil things that affect our community. So making sure that those youths, those young ones, and the older ones are busy as well, and making sure that if they do go to prison, when they come out, we have some type of a system that will reintegrate them back to the community, looking at our background checks, making sure that it's fair, that it does not discriminate against anyone's conviction records. Thank you.
Yeah. What role do you think the state legislature has in ensuring successful outcomes for all students, including those with disabilities?
Well, thank you so much for that question. I would say I'm a strong believer in a high quality public education for all. And then it is very imperative need to ensure that students with disability have the resources needed and the training educators necessary for them to thrive. I'm a graduate of Madison East High School here in the community, and I know how valuable it is to have a good quality education. I give credits to all my teachers, to my guidance counselor for making me who I am today, for going to college, and then coming out with an MBA, and now working in our community to give back. So I'm making a commitment to wholeheartedly advocate for the allocation of resources for teachers trained specifically in disability, as well as resources, tools, learning technologies, and products that are specifically developed to support the student population. And finally, it is essential to advocate for this to ensure that all students are set up for success through access to high quality from the start. Thank you.
Are there any steps you believe the legislature should take to further address mental health and substance abuse disorders?
Yes, absolutely. I would say I live this and I breathe this every day at my day job. And as someone that works at a mental health organization, I deal with a lot of staffs that are in the forefront of this battle. So making sure that we put funding to things that we believe in, and not just saying that we believe in mental health, but behind the scene restrict funding or not prioritize mental health in when it comes to budget time. So I will make sure that I will work with Democrats and Republicans to make sure we have enough funding in our budgets and across the states, and then also work with county government to make sure that there are fundings as well, and making sure that our mental health staffs, our healthcare staffs are paid equitably, fair, and livable wages as well will be a priority for me. Thank you.
What other priorities do you have for your term in office?
So what other priorities do I have? I would say women's rights. I mean, I did mention affordable housing is one. And when I mean affordable, I mean truly affordable. You know, when you go to an affordable housing and they charge you $2,000 for a 2-bedroom, truly is not affordable, you know. So making sure that when we say affordable, it is affordable. And then I also talked about affordable healthcare, and access to reproductive health care is also important to me and my community. Affordable childcare, and making sure that childcare providers are provide have funding to run their business as well. And then finally, women's rights and making sure that women have the right to their own body, and then also minimum wage, paid leave protection. I mean, I'm a human resources leader, and I know how hard it is for employees to go out of work, and they have to think about, can they afford to leave work to go take care of either emergency or any personal businesses, making sure that Wisconsin have a paid family leave in the whole of Wisconsin. So making sure that the last thing you want to think about when you go out of work is how you're going to feed your family. That should not be in any voter's mind. So thank you.
What would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much, and thank you to City of Madison and the League of Women Voters of Dane County for giving me this opportunity. And I would say election is around the corner. This year is a lifetime for us. I mean, we can't let the other side determine the bodies of our daughters, the bodies of our wives, the bodies of our sisters, and everybody else, right? So we want to make sure that we're electing the right person in the office. And I would definitely, it will be a great pleasure to be that person to represent our district in the state assembly, District 48. And just want to remind you, election is on August 13, 2024. So go ahead and vote. And if you have any questions, you can look us up at Goodwill for Wisconsin, goodwillforwi.com. Thank you so much.
I want to thank Goodwill for speaking with us and thank the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone that primary election day is Tuesday, August 13th, and the general election is Tuesday, November 5th. Every election is important. Please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, I thank you for joining us.